Good morning. Welcome to the March 14, 2024 meeting of the Shawnee County Board of Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair this year. Joining me today is Commissioner Aaron Mays. Good morning.
Good morning.
Commissioner Bill Rippon. Good morning.
Good morning.
And then also joining us, we have our county clerk, Cindy Beck. And then filling in for our county councilor is Mr. Bruzon. So, Madam Clerk, our first item.
First item is item 1 under proclamations presentations. Item A, annual report of Mayor's Task Force Against Domestic Violence. Becca Spielman.
Thank you, County Commissioner Chair Cook, County Commissioner Vice Chair Mays, and County Commissioner Member Rippon for the opportunity to speak with you this morning over the Mayor's Task Force Against Domestic Violence 2022 Annual Statistical Report. My name is Becca Spielman. I am the Program Director for YWCA Northeast Kansas's Center for Safety and Empowerment, as well as a facilitator of this task force, whose mission is to hold domestic violence offenders accountable and ensure victim safety in collaboration, education, and prevention for a safe and just community in Shawnee County. I'm joined here with a few members of the task force, and I ask at this time those members who are in attendance if they wouldn't mind just raising their hands for acknowledgement. Woo! Look at that big crowd. It's a morning. So just to give you a little bit of information about the Mayor's Task Force, we're a comprised team of professionals from various sectors of our community who are dedicated to the elimination of domestic violence, specifically in Shawnee County. Statistically speaking, on a national level, relationship violence impacts 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men, and 1 in 2 gender non-binary or trans-identified people. This statistical report, which has been placed in front of you, captures data from the Shawnee County District Attorney's Office, Kansas Legal Services, local law enforcement agencies, battering intervention programs, medical and health providers, and victim services providers during the 2022 calendar year. So as you can see from the slide, there are a number of different members of the task force that attend regularly, that contribute to this report, and contribute to some of our strategic plans and initiatives. One of the agencies that I do want to draw attention to is Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas. They actually facilitate the corporate engagement subcommittee for the Mayor's Task Force. That is chaired by Marlou Wagner with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and their agency or business has been a leader in developing and implementing innovative programming for their employees. And they've worked with other corporations to do the same, to make sure that, again, victims and survivors of domestic violence who are employees receive the support that they need, and offenders receive the accountability and services that they need as well. So kind of going into the statistics and what this information has to offer us. These next 2 slides demonstrate just how prevalent domestic violence is within Shawnee County. It is clear from this data that domestic violence continues to be a significant concern within our community. And we know that relationship violence does not just impact the abuser and their direct victim, but it also affects their children, friends, other family members, bystanders, neighbors, schools, employers, faith communities, just to name a few aspects of the community who are impacted. In Shawnee County in 2022, there were a total of 2,039 domestic violence calls responded to by local law enforcement. There were 992 lethality assessments, which is a tool that is used to measure the likelihood of homicide by an intimate partner, completed when the Topeka Police Department responded to these calls. In the same year, there were 778 domestic violence cases filed by the Shawnee County District Attorney, and 104 battering intervention assessments completed by the Family Peace Initiative and Washtage Peacemakers Men's Project. And this is all reflective of Shawnee County residents. So even though many of these agencies might serve outside of Shawnee County, this is specific to those living within our communities. The next slide demonstrates further statistics. 339 patients at Stormontville Health were identified as having experienced abuse, domestic violence, and/or human trafficking. And finally, a combined total of 997 domestic violence victims and survivors were served by the Kansas Department of Corrections and YWCA Northeast Kansas's Center for Safety and Empowerment. Again, only reflecting those who reside in Shawnee County. So in terms of our report and being able to pull the statistics together, this is the second annual report compiled by the Mayor's Task Force Against Domestic Violence. And it illustrates how data can be collected across community partners to capture the full scope of domestic violence within our community. The report has also encouraged members of the task force to increase collaboration when serving victims and survivors of domestic violence. Finally, this report has demonstrated the importance of increasing community awareness of this issue, as well as violence prevention education within the community. Thank you again for the opportunity to share this data and the full 2022 report with you. I and the other members of the task force are available to answer any questions that you may have.
Questions? Thank you, and thank you for all of your work.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions, or is there a motion?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business. Item A, County Clerk, number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Commissioners, this morning we've got vouchers totaling $1,637,146.76. There's several items of note to note on there. Under District Attorney, $82,087.12 to CBD Group. Interior Landscapes, that is for some office furniture. Under the bridge project, $76,995 is to King Construction. That is for construction work. Under information technology, $169,708 to Optiv Security. That is for our firewall and desktop security. And then under equipment fund, $83,837.70 to Cine Company. That is for the EOC restroom repairs or remodeling, whatever you want to call it. And that project is 66% complete and partially funded with ARPA funds as well. I don't have any questions or concerns with any of this, and I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A2, consider correction orders, and we do have 2 sets of correction orders, just for information for you this
I'll
time.
move to approve both sets of correction orders.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Human Resources, number 1, consider approval of resolution number 2024-19, establishing an idle vacant position policy.
Good morning, Commissioners. Angela Lewis with Human Resources. Shawnee County officials work hard to fill all of their vacant positions. There are times when positions are open so long that they are open for more than 365 days. The resolution in front of you addresses positions in Shawnee County that have been unfilled and vacant for more than a year. In preparation for the 2025 budget cycle, positions that have not been filled in the last 365 days by April 1st of 2024 will be deemed idle or vacant. The resolution will not fund any idle or vacant positions beginning with the 2025 budget cycle each year thereafter. The resolution would apply to both department heads and elected officials, and HR will determine the positions that are deemed vacant or idle and send a monthly report to the departments as well as to Audit Finance. No later than April 30th of each year, Human Resources will remove the idle vacant positions from the department's roster. Audit Finance will then remove the positions from the proposed budget for the upcoming year. Now, the saving grace here is at the sole discretion of the Board of County Commissioners, the department heads and elected officials can request a personnel budget adjustment prior to or during the budget approval cycle. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about the resolution.
Questions?
Not so much a question, but, you know, as you guys know, this is something that came about from last year's budget cycle. and sort of the audit that we did of vacant positions, there were quite a few positions that have been open for a very, very long time. And I think this is a good way to perhaps redo the org charts in some ways to, you know, if we have positions that are extremely hard to fill, maybe we need to modify those positions and repost them in a different way to try and get those filled. So I think this is a good way to do it. I know it's hard to eliminate positions, and so we've not done that. And so this is probably a way to reinvent some of those, in my opinion. So
It's not taking effect immediately today. This would be starting with the 2025 budgetary cycle, so we're really not looking until this being implemented until January 1 of 2025. So this would give our department heads, I see Jennifer Sauer waving that I'm speaking out of turn.
Sorry, Jennifer Sauer, Financial Administrator. It would take effect now because we will be cleaning up the position lists by May 1st, so that when we start the budget cycle, May 1st, it will be for positions that are then funded January 1st. So,
But Mark Price, he's sitting on the front row. That's the penalty for sitting up front. If Mark Price had an open position in his department that had been unfilled for a period of time, with the pass of this resolution, that position isn't really going to close out, though, until the end of the year.
Yeah, we're gonna close it out now, but he can come before you and ask that the position be reopened if he needs it in Keithville.
Okay. I just want to walk through how department heads are going to need to do this. And so with this going out, if any department heads have any question about how they can go about this, that they would contact the HR office?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Who will determine, what positions you're going to eliminate or take off the
Be
list?
vacant or idle, that would
Yes.
be in Human Resources, but monthly, directors and elected officials will get a vacant position report. And so they will see what's coming up. It would take 365 days of the cycle for it to need to roll off.
Okay.
I see Ms. Beck waving her hand, too.
I have a question. I don't have any vacant positions in my department, and of course, I am an elected official. But I have a question. If this is going to happen in going into the new budget year, my office, my budget, my salaries are 98% of my budget. And I know there are other departments that are like that. What happens when they come to you and they say, I need that position, because it's happening now? I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen this before, of course, you know, like I said. But what happens for the departments that this happens to now for the 25 budget? So that means they can't budget for it. So they can't come to you a year from now and say, I need to fill this position, because they're not gonna have the budget authority. I don't know, they're not gonna have the budget authority. So what happens? Are you gonna give them money back in their budget? Or which is assuming that people are gonna have extra money in their budget?
Angela, Commissioner Mays?
It's not an assumption that they'll have extra money. If the position has been closed and they need to create a new position because that one's gone, then we would have to find budget. So the thing to do would be to come before the commission and ask for an exemption of that position, because you know you're going to need to fill it. And we'll have to work together with the departments to make sure, is it a salary situation that's not being filled? Is it the name of the position, why it's not attractive to the people? But we're going to try to make sure that we have the right people in the right seat and can get people in here and keep them.
I just hear people come up and, you know, where they're,
And Commissioner Mays, I think, this is a resolution being sponsored by you, and again, the issue that was raised and kind of brought to the attention during the budget was these positions that are left unfilled.
yeah, and there are some positions that have been unfilled for very, very long periods of time. And my intention is that if we're not going to fill those positions and those funds are being used for other purposes, then those other purposes need to be what's budgeted for and not positions. And so if we're intending to fill positions, let's get them filled. if we're not intending to fill the positions, let's use that money towards other things, if we need to.
So was this, yeah, but I didn't, like I said, did you send this out to all the department heads before the meeting today and was, other than just the agenda?
We had a whole department head meeting and we discussed it, but no, this wasn't sent to all the department heads. It was on the agenda.
Now,
Okay.
elected officials are a little bit different,
They are.
and you want to talk about how they're different?
Well, they are different because they run their departments. Once any budget is given to them, it's theirs to do with what they have, and that's why it affects the budget cycle. We won't take away budget that you currently have in 2024 for it. It would affect the 2025 budget, and it would not be budgeted if the position is closed. Now, if you need an exemption for it, you'd come before the commission, you would receive the exemption, and that money would still be in your budget.
And that would also cover the elections officer, or elections commissioner, Andrew Howell, because he's in a quasi-elected role.
It would.
Like I said, it didn't affect me one way or the other, but I just thought there's, if the department heads, if this just kind of landed on the agenda and they didn't get a chance to.
We had a department head
That was,
meeting.
that was all,
I
that was all,
attended it. It
that was all
a few
the,
weeks
so
ago,
it was
yeah.
discussed on that, okay. That was when I was sick.
Okay, all right. Any other questions?
I'll move for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Mays,
Second.
second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item C, noxious weed department, number 1, consider approval to award a bid for weed management chemicals to Missouri Farmers Association of Emporia, Kansas.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Landon, Director of the Weed Department. A few weeks ago, I come before you seeking an RFQ for herbicides that's used for sales to the customers throughout the 24 season here. We worked with Audit Finance. That RFQ went out. It included over roughly about 10,000 gallons of chemical in the liquid form and about 3,600 pounds in a granular form. And so today, I'm before you seeking approval to award the bid to Missouri Farmers Association, who had the overall lowest bid.
Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, John.
Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item D, Parks and Recreation, number 1, request approval to reclassify an unfunded permanent part-time custodial position to a park maintenance worker, starting at range 803, step 1, $50,052.23 annually, including benefits, funded out of the campground revolving fund.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tim Laurent, Director for the Parks and Recreation Department. Little information about how we got here and why we're here today. The mowing at the campground is currently being contracted with a private contractor, and they approached us a couple of weeks ago wanting to terminate that agreement. We did go back and look at past bids that we received for that area, and there was quite a bit of difference between the bid that we had awarded to the next bidder. It was quite a bit higher. And then subsequently, you know, we had done a pretty major renovation at the campground here recently, and we felt like this would be a good time to review our processes. And I feel pretty strongly that by repurposing or reclassifying this position and putting a full-time person at the campground, that we would really benefit greatly from that. I think we'll have a more aggressive mowing schedule, better trash management. They'll do some light maintenance. But I think with the investment we've made at the campground, I think it would be nice to also make more of an investment in the care and upkeep of the property. So I would be happy to answer any questions you may have. Let me throw in there, this will be funded, and I know the clerk mentioned it, but it'll be funded out of the revolving fund, so the users of the campground will be paying for this position.
Okay. Questions regarding the mowing?
I would move for approval.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Rippon, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item.
Item D2, consider authorization and execution of contract C95-2024 awarding RFQ number 002-24 with Bettis Asphalt and Construction, Inc. for the parking lot renovations at Dornwood Park at a cost of $81,989.49 to be funded through the 2024 Capital Outlay Fund, $34,000, and Building Maintenance Fund, $47,989.49.
Tim Laurent, Director, Parks and Recreation Department. So on February 8th of this year, you did grant us permission to go out for RFP to have the parking lot at Dornwood, ball field complex, some asphalt work done there. We did receive 3 bids. Bettis Asphalt was the lowest and most responsive bid. And with your approval, we'd like to move forward with awarding them the contract and getting this work done as soon as possible.
Questions? I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item E, Commission number 1, consider canceling the July 18th Commission meeting.
I know that July seems like a long ways away, but with us making sure that we make arrangements for our budget cycle and everything else, this is the inter-city visit. So we are to Boise, Idaho. I think that the commissioners all plan on going at this time, so at this point, I'm going to move that we cancel the July 18th commission meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Mays. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 5, public comment.
If anybody from the public wishes to speak, and come on up and make sure you state your name so that Ms. Beck can record it.
Thank you, sir. My name is Ed West, and I'm joined by Jonathan Prosser. And again, thank you for the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you. 2 Saturdays ago, Jonathan and I, along with Justin Newhouse, served as race directors for the 2nd annual Skyline Scramble Trail Race at Azura Trails at Skyline Park. 88 runners representing 5 different states spent either 3 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours running laps around a 2.15 mile portion of the trail, experiencing some of the best trails Kansas has to offer. While I'm excited to share some statistics with you, our main purpose for being here is to thank you for your commitment to creating both paved and natural trails in all areas of the county. We're extremely proud of what Shawnee County has to offer the trail running community, and with the majority of runners in the event from the county, I can assure you that the trails are well utilized on a regular basis. This year's Skyline Scramble resulted in 88 runners completing a total of 1,051 laps for 2,260 total miles. The winner of the 12-hour race set a new course record with just over 58 miles. He was one of 7 runners to complete over 50 miles on the trails. The winner of the 6-hour race was Shawnee County's own Clayton Schneider. Clayton finished with 34.4 miles, surpassing last year's record, which was also owned by a Shawnee County resident. The winner of the 3-hour race completed just over 19 miles, one of 15 runners in the 3-hour race that completed more than a half marathon distance. Events like this can't happen without the leadership and support of county employees. I would like to thank Tom Hammer and Riley Schaefer for their important roles in all of this and for their availability when communication was needed. They were quick to help and quick to respond. In closing, it's worth noting that Kansas has some unpredictable weather in the spring. Last year, we experienced wet conditions leading up to the event and rain during the event. This year, we had outstanding weather throughout the day. Our trail systems can handle the changes in weather partly due to the contributions of volunteers that maintain the trails. I would like to recognize the Top City Trail Alliance for the countless volunteer hours they spend on the Azura trails and elsewhere. Their dedication to maintaining a portion of the trail system you work to create is noticed and appreciated. Thank you again for allowing us to share the success of our event, and more importantly, thank you for the opportunity to share our appreciation for your efforts in making Shawnee County a better place for all of us to live and thrive. And have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? Okay. Our next item?
Item 6, Administrative Communications.
Good morning, Commissioners. Dustin Nichols, Emergency Management. Just real quick overview of last night's events. As you all know, we were under tornado watch. That went to a warning around 20 hours, about 8 8:20 PM last night. We did sound our siren all county per our policy right now. Because the warnings come out as tornado warning Shawnee County, we sound all of our sirens, and then as we get more data, we sound only the warned areas. So the follow-on warnings went to Silver Lake, Rossville, and Willard. There's only 4 sirens in that polygon. We sounded those at 2025, 2029, 2035, and 2038 hours until it expired. We sent damage assessment teams out last night for preliminary. It's dark, so it was pretty limited, but we did engage with local law enforcement. I sent Jake out. He got some pictures, got some geographic markers, UTM grid coordinates, so forth, so we can turn those over to National Weather Service so they can continue their investigation to find out how big the tornado was, and they do all their things. Sheriff's office is out there this morning, talked to Captain Lottridge, or Major Lottridge. He's out there sending pictures as well, and they're sending a drone up as well to get, they're sending UAV up to get better pictures. I'll have those this afternoon. We will do a further after action report, but if you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to give me a call. There was some discussion on the sirens. I want to make it clear, our policy is to sound all of our county sirens initially for many different reasons. Sometimes people, and I did actually just receive 2 calls this morning thanking us for sounding that initial siren because they weren't paying attention to the weather and they had kids in those areas. So they made them pay attention and help that situation. That's why we sound them countywide, to get people to pay attention. That balances out the criticism we got for sounding sirens as a false thing. It's not false. It's done for a reason. So if you have any of those kind of questions or criticisms, please forward those to me. I'll be more than happy to address them. So, any questions?
Questions? All right. Thank you, Dusty.
Thank you. I just want to mention, I want to
And-
thank my team,
Yep.
EM team. They did really good work last night.
I was going to say that as well. Thank you to all of the EMS and all the first responders out there.
Yeah, I know. Some of them didn't get much sleep last night, so good job, guys.
Yep. Any other administrative communications?
Good morning, Commissioners. Teresa Fisher, Director of the Health Department. I just want to announce again that our Community Health Needs Assessment opened on Monday of this week. This is an every 3-year cycle, and I want to just call out the steering committee because there's lots of partners involved with this. We have United Way of Kaw Valley, Live Well Shawnee County, Vallejo, Family Service and Guidance Center, Grace Med, the University of Kansas St. Francis campus, Stormont Vale, and then the Health Department. So all of these partners come together to do this assessment. This is an opportunity for everyone here in our community to have their voice heard. So the survey is open until April 30th. It's found on many of the partners' websites, social media platforms, and then there is also paper copies available at various community sites, including our Parks and Rec, who graciously donated to several of their community centers to have that available. So the data will be gathered. There will be a meeting in May that releases that data, and that data will then be used to drive our community health improvement plan next year when that's released. So I encourage everyone, get out, get your voice heard. It takes about 10 minutes to do the survey, and make sure you have an input into the health and direction of the community.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Commissioner Rippon?
I didn't hear how many laps you got in on the scramble, did you?
Oh, so many laps. They couldn't even see me. I was moving so fast.
I figured. All right. No, I have nothing more to add other than go Cats.
Commissioner Reyes?
Yeah, well, I want to thank you guys for coming and talking about this, because I think it's a really cool thing. It wasn't that long ago that Skyline Park was unusable for the general public, and so our Parks and Rec team and an army of volunteers really cleaned that place up, and so it's really neat to see events like this happening up there now. And then I know we had a mountain bike race last year. I don't know if that's coming back again or not, but really neat to see that. So thanks for bringing attention to it as well. I can't imagine running 58 miles in one day. That's ridiculous to think about. But anyways, I'm glad that somebody's doing it, I guess. So I don't have anything else though.
Yep. So, a couple of community events this weekend in downtown Topeka. There is the St. Patrick's Day Parade and a lot of activities, and so there's a lot going on this weekend. Next week on Tuesday, there is the presidential primary. I know the elections office has been working hard to make sure everything's ready for that. Please do take an opportunity to show up and cast your ballot. And then also, we do still have a vacancy for the Topeka Township Treasurer. I did receive an email that there might be a person who's interested, and if you are interested, we need to hear an email from you. So, I don't have any other.
Did you want to mention the lost name?
Oh, yes. Tim, do you want to speak to, we had a loss within our community.
Yes, Tim Lerner, Parks and Recreation Department. I was going to put something together and talk more about it next week, but I can talk about it today. Yeah, unfortunately, we lost Officer Jerry Jackson. He'd been with the department for 14 years, our Park Police Department. If you had a chance to meet Jerry, just a very wonderful, caring individual who I think made our department better and helped a lot of citizens out here in Shawnee County and our parks and over the last 14 years. I know he'll be sorely missed. He's a great member of the team. I know that Jerry and Chief Cope and a few others would had a routine where they would play golf together every Wednesday, and they played golf last Wednesday, and Jerry wasn't feeling too well, and unfortunately that night Jerry later that evening suffered a heart attack. So, and hung on for a while, but did pass yesterday. So we'll get information out about funeral arrangements. I know it's coming up this Saturday, but Jerry will be missed, and our heart goes out to Melody and his family. So thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you for speaking to that. Our thoughts and go out to the family of the officer. Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 7, executive session.
I was told that there is a need to go into executive session today for a period not to exceed 20 minutes to discuss employee or employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with representative or representatives of the body or agency, specifically to discuss the FOP contract negotiations. And again, this is a motion made to go into executive session for 20 minutes.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, second by Commissioner Rippon. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. We'll start at 9:40. So we are into executive session. We are back from executive session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.